Welcome everyone, I'm Mr. Eves and today we're going to be talking about 4.6 dividing decimals by decimals. Our objective for the day is I can divide decimals by decimals. Now let's just go ahead and talk about dividing decimals by a decimal. When you divide by a decimal, multiply both the divisor and the dividend by the power of 10. That will make the divisor a whole number. Now let's go ahead and talk about this. So I'm going to go to this example right here, and we're going to talk about which one's the divisor and which one's the dividend. Now remember that the divisor and dividend are key parts of the division process. The divisor is the number that we're dividing by. The dividend is the number that is being divided by. So in this case, the divisor is on the outside and the dividend is on the inside. So then we ask ourselves, we got to multiply it by a power of 10 or just move our decimal to the right, because that's what it means when we multiply by a power of 10. We want to make the divisor a whole number. So let's go ahead and do this. How many spots do we need to move it over? Well, it does it for us, and so we move it over one spot. Do the exact same thing with the other one. So if I move the outside one spot to the right, I got to move the inside one spot to the right to keep it balanced. And so now it's 25 divided by 37.5. Now if you have a calculator, you could go 3.75 divided by 2.5 and press enter. And you could also go 37.5 divided by 25 and you'd get the exact same answer. What we did is we just set up a proportional ratio to where this one's just increased by 10 but multiplying by 10. So let's do another example. Let's say that we have 46 divided by 1.6. Now, this is another way to write division. And remember, divisor means the number that we're dividing by. So 1.6 is the number we're being divided by. And our dividend is the 46. Well, we want to make our divisor a whole number. And how many spots do we have to do on this? Move it? We have to move it one spot. So we move that one spot, and on the other side of the division sign, we got to move it one spot. Well, there's nothing there. Remember, we add a 0. So that would be 460 divided by 16. Well, let's check out this one. Well, our divisor is 3, and we want to make our divisor a whole number. Wait a second. It is already a whole number, so we don't need to worry about it. We're all good and ready to go. So let's go ahead and move on to our assignment. Our assignment is page 200 and 201, 1 through 31 odds, 45 to 47. Now, I'm going to actually do 1 and 2 just to kind of explain it a little bit better. So we see on number 2, it's talking about dividend, and it says vocabulary, identify the given number in the equation. So we have 8.49 divided by 0.3 equals 28.3. So I just have to write dividend and then the number that represents the dividend. Remember, the dividend is the number that we're dividing into. And so that would be 8.49. Now our divisor is the number we're dividing by. So if we read this, we go 8.49 divided by 0.3. So we know 0.3 is our divisor. So that's just a quick little brief demonstration on dividend and divisor. Now the next section says rewrite each problem so that the divisor is a whole number. So we want the divisor a whole number. Now remember, the divisor is the number that we're dividing by. And so number 3, if I go ahead and start off with that, in the book you'll see it just like this. 3.1 divides into 12.8. So 3.1 is our divisor, and to make it a whole number I need to move it how many spots? Well, I got to move it over one spot. Now I went ahead and crossed out 4, 6, and 8 just to help me remember not to do those because we're doing the odds only. So move it over one spot there, and I also got to do it in the inside, and so that's a total. So what I want you to do is look in your book and do it mentally, and so that would be 31 divides into 128. And then that's all you got to do. We don't have to solve for that because it's not asking. Number 5, well, we have 0.93 is our divisor, so to make it a whole number we got to move it 2 spots. So I move it 2 spots on both of them, and that gives me 93 goes into 1488. Now, number 7, we move it over 3 spots. Even though, if you look right here, 8.1 divided by, so our divisor, to make it a whole number, we need to move it over 3 spots. So I move it over 3 spots. Once I've done that, I got to do the other side. Well, what happens, what do I put in these empty spaces? Well, I put zeros, so this becomes 8100 divided by 614. So that's easy for that section. Now, let's move on to the next section I want to talk about. It's 11. And on this section, this is how it looks in your book. We have 8.69 divided by 4.1. Well, it wants you to round to the nearest tenth. I just want you to go to the tenths place. Don't worry about rounding the nearest tenth. And so we're going to divide till we get to the tenths. And so number 11, I'm going to rewrite it as a whole number. So instead of 4.1, I'm going to write it 41. So I moved it over 1 spot on both of those. And then I say, well, I know 40 goes into 80 twice, so that's pretty close. Remember to bring your decimal straight up, and so that's 82. Subtract and bring down. Well, 41 goes into 49 one time, and I'm at the 10th place, so I don't need to go any further. So number 13, same thing. I go, this is how it's written in the book. I'm going to rewrite it as 6 because I moved it over 1 spot, and I have to move this over 1 spot. So into 480. Now, I know that 6, I added that spot, so that was how easy it is. 6 goes into 48 8 times. It's exactly 48. Subtract, bring down. 6 goes into 0 0 times. So 6 goes into 480 80 times. It goes into evenly. And so there's no remainders, no decimals, nothing. So that's our answer. And this is a basic tutorial on how to do it. Remember, we want to take our divisor and make it a whole number. So that divisor a whole number. So however many spots we have to move it to the right, we got to do the exact same thing to our dividend. And remember, the divisor is the outside number in this situation, or the number that follows the divide sign. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. We'll see you tomorrow.